Hello students. So today in this session we'll discuss about overall analysis of JEE Main paper. So first of all we'll compare the JEE Main January 2025 paper versus April paper. Okay, what is the difference between the weightage of the chapters being asked in January and April? So first we'll discuss about that. So there's an overview and overall analysis that what is the difference of the weightage between the chapters in January and April, and then after that shift wise we'll do the analysis that in each chapter how many questions were asked and what was their level, whether they were very easy or easy but lengthy, or very tricky or very tough, lengthy and calculative, or whether they're asked from a single chapter or single chapter but multiple concepts, or multiple chapter and multiple concepts. So yes, this is a very important analysis, and this is a detailed analysis of JEE Main April 2025. But first of all, let's start this analysis by comparing this April paper with the January paper. Okay, so let's start. So I will do the mathematics part, then chemistry and physics will follow. Okay, the first of all, if you compare the sets and relations, if you can see 20% in January 5 questions were there. Okay, so that means 20% weightage was there, but in April only 3 questions were there, 15%. So slightly difference, like slightly the weightage became less in sets and relations, but yes, overall 15 to 20% weightage is there. Now let's talk about functions. Let me come here. So if you talk about function chapter, so in January 4 questions, like 16% weightage was there out of 25, and it suddenly increased to 7 questions. So set relation functions overall has 9 and 10 questions. So overall, if you mix these two chapters, set relation functions, so overall around weightage is 10 questions. Okay, now let's come to trigonometric function. Trigonometric function is a very low weightage chapter. So you can see in January also, April also, only 1 question was there, and trigonometric equations is actually out of syllabus. So in January NTA followed the syllabus very strictly, but in April you can see 3 questions which are out of syllabus. So 3 questions were definitely asked more from trigonometric equations, though it is out of syllabus. I don't know why they have asked, but yes, for the students preparing for next year 2026, you have to keep this in mind that yes, NTA can ask questions from trigonometric equations. Okay, let's focus on next chapter. Inverse trigonometry is very much there in the syllabus. So 5 questions in January but only 1. So drastically the weightage has been dropped from 5, and that means 20% to 5%. So but overall inverse trigonometry is also a very important chapter and very easy to scoring chapter. Next is quadratic equation, complex numbers. So if you see about quadratic equation and complex numbers, you can see around 6 and 5 questions but 2 and 4 questions. So slightly decrease in the weightage from 6 to 2 and 5 to 4, approximately same. Okay, so quadratic they have decreased the weightage, but complex numbers is almost remains the same. About PNC and binomial, if we talk about, PNC has 8 questions but this is 4 questions only, so there is a slightly decrease in the weightage. And same for the binomial theorem also. Binomial theorem, it changes from 6 to 7. So here the weightage increases for binomial theorem. Okay, now let's talk about sequence and series, the last chapter of 11th class in algebra. So you can see the weightage is approximately the same. The same weightage they have asked. What about straight line, circle, parabola, ellipse and hyperbola? You can see that from 4 to 5, 5 to 3, 4 to 3, 3 to 4. So slightly change, like straight line is from 4 to 5, then 5 to 3 is from circles, then parabola it has decreased, but conic section like ellipse and hyperbola, the weightage has been increased. So it's more or less it's same. So conic section is almost similar questions. Okay, now limits and derivatives, continuity and differentiability, if we talk about these chapters. So limits and derivatives, if we talk about 3 to 2, okay, almost similar, and continuity differentiability 2 and 2 questions, but application of differentiation, the weightage has increased from 1 to 3. Okay, it's from 4% to 15%. Okay, indefinite, it has 1 question in January but no question in April. So indefinite was out of league. And definite integration is definitely a very important chapter. 6 questions in January but it reduced to 4 in April. So slight decrease. Okay, now let's come to area and differential equation. So area and differential equation, you can see 8 to 5 and 7 to 2. Drastic change in differential equations. Okay, but Yes, matrices and determinants, the weightage has increased from 8 to 9 questions. So some chapters you can see the reduction in the weightage, and some chapters there is a increment in the weightage. But overall, you can see the important chapters are calculus portion, vectors and 3D, sequence and series, binomial theorem. So these are very important chapters, and matrices and determinants. So 12th class is pretty much very, very important. And 11th class, in 11th class, you can focus on binomial, sequence and series, ellipse and hyperbola. Okay, so these are the important chapters in 11th class. If you talk about probability, so probability you can see that from 2 to 0. Okay, probability they have not asked. Okay, now random variable and distribution they have not asked. So probability is 4 to 4. 4 questions in January and April, but yeah, random variable and distributions they have not asked in April. And if I talk about vector algebra, 3D and statistics, last 3, so vectors have reduced to 7 to 4, 3D from 8 to 6, and last stats is from 3 to 1. Okay, so you can see that there is slightly difference in few of the chapters. There is slight increment in few of the chapters. So this was the total number of questions in January. Okay, and in April, if you see, because the number of shifts was also less. In April 9 shifts, and in January it was 10 shifts. So definitely there is a slight number of questions became less. So that's why this is the change. Okay, but overall the weightage of the chapters I can tell you in 11th class, functions, vector 3D, probability and matrices. The full 11th class is very, very important. And in 12th class, and in 11th class the high weightage chapters are binomial, sequence series, ellipse and hyperbola. Okay, Baki, you can see that quadratic and trigonometry they are scoring but low weightage chapters, and complex PNC are middle weightage chapters and little bit on the trickier side. Okay, so this was the overview between January and April. Okay, now let's talk about shift wise. So let's talk about 2nd April shift 1. So our team has done a lot of hard work, and what they have done is, I can see now, you can see that. So this is 2nd April shift 1. So type of question is SS means single chapter, single concept. SM means single chapter, multiple concept. And MM means multiple chapter and multiple concepts. That means very lengthy. Okay, very tough questions. Level 1 is normal standard formula based. Level 2 is a standard formula based but little bit calculative. Level 3 is moderate questions but very heavy in calculation, or you can say the new language is used to students found difficulty in interpreting the language of the problems. And level 4 is very difficult and completely innovative questions are very lengthy, very tough. Level 4 is this. So we have tagged each and every question of this shift, and you can see that, and it will give you the idea of about the toughness of the shift. For example, if I talk about hyperbola ellipse, so you can see that SS means single chapter, single concept, level 1, very easy, 2.5 minutes. You can easily solve this question in 2.5 minutes. Same for ellipse also. Similarly, you can see that all the questions we have done, all the tagging we have done, in quadratic the questions have been asked from relation between the roots, matrices, determinant and adjoint, modules and maximum distance, again determinant question, trigonometric equation question have been asked. So you can see that, okay, vectors with projection, okay, and we have tagged what is the level of this question and what is the code of this question. So definitely we'll share the PDF of this and you can have an idea that yes, how the toughness was, but you can see that 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. So generally the questions are taking 2.5 minutes. That means the level of the paper is slightly moderate, but yes, some questions are going 3 minutes and beyond 3 minutes in mathematics. You can see that. Okay, generally 3 minutes, 5 minutes. The numerical section is quite lengthy and tough. Okay, so overall the second shift was moderate level. In mathematics, it was moderate and little bit on the lengthier side. Okay, so this was the overall idea of the second shift, especially in mathematics part. Okay, because on an average, you can see that maximum questions you can solve in 2 or 3 minutes, and few questions you can solve in 5 minutes. Okay. Okay. If you move to April shift number 2, if I move to 2nd April, see, this is the 2nd April shift number 2. The straight line vector, you can see that 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 4, so almost similar level paper. The tough questions were slightly less in second shift 2. So you can say the paper was again moderate, lengthy, but little less than the shift 1. Shift 1 toughness level is more than 2nd April shift 2. Okay, you can see that, and because maximum question were single chapter and single concept, level 1 questions. Few of them are MM and level 2, that means multi-concept and multi-level problems. Okay. And 5 minutes, see, SS and level 2 5, these are lengthy questions. So few of them are lengthy questions. You can see that. But yes, you can finally 25 questions ends here, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, and few questions are 2 minutes. Okay. So slightly you can see that the second shift 1 and second shift 2, toughness is almost on the same level. Lengthier questions are almost on the similar level. But yes, few tough questions are there. 1-2 more questions were there in second shift 1. Okay, let's move to the third shift 1. Okay. So you can see that again the third shift 1 paper of mathematics was again a moderate level. Okay, third shift 1, 120 seconds, 2 minutes, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1.5 minutes. Again, you can say 3 minutes. So similar level, like maths paper was almost on the same page. Okay, few of the shifts are containing the tough questions, but yes, the second shift and the third shift are containing like moderate questions. Few of them are very moderate and very easy, and few of them are very lengthy and very tough. And as a mixture of like 8 to 10 problems were very easy, like in 1 minute, 2 minutes, or maybe 2.5 minutes you can finish the questions. But some questions like 7 to 8 questions were like tough, and it will take more than 5 minutes or around 5 minutes to solve it. But yes, third shift 1 is again on a moderate level, and obviously with a lengthier problems, some lengthier problems. So nothing much to differentiate between all these 3 shifts. Okay, you can see that some questions you can do in 1.5 minutes, some question in 2 minutes, some question in 3 minutes, or some question around 3.5 or 4 minutes. But slightly, there are no questions which is taking 300 seconds, like 5 minutes. So third shift 1 paper is little less or less tougher than the second shifts. The 2nd April, both the shifts. So 3rd April shift 1 is slightly on the moderate side. Lengthy questions were there, but yes, if we compare all the shifts, so this is a little on the easier side, 1 level easier. Okay, let's come to 3rd April shift 2. So if I talk about 3rd April shift 2, so one of the question you can see that 6 minutes, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3. That means this shift was the lengthy shift. So third shift 2 was actually the lengthier shift. You can see that few questions you can solve in 2 minutes, but again 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and 6 minutes. So you can actually feel that yes, the total time taken will be, the students to solve the problems will be around 70-75 minutes or more than that, because this is the time actually students give to the math section. Obviously, I'm not saying that students have attempted all the problems, but yes, the students who have attempted the problems, few scoring opportunities are there in each and every paper. Like 8 to 10 problems you can solve easily if you are prepared well. These are the scoring opportunities, but to solve more than 10 or 12 questions, definitely you have to work hard a lot. Okay, but yes, third shift 2 contains questions which takes more than 3 or 4 minutes. So this is quite a lengthy paper. In fact, more than a second shift, both the shifts. Hai na? Okay, chalo, let's move to the 4th shift. Okay, if I talk about 4th shift 1, you can see that again, it is of the same level as the second shift approximately in maths. Okay, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you can see that 4 minute, 1 minute, no 5 minute questions. So definitely third shift 2 was more tougher. 4th shift 1 contains lengthy and tough questions, but yes, as compared to third shift 2, it is slightly on the easier side. So 4th shift 1 is definitely is same as around 2nd April shifts. Okay, you can see that. If I talk about 4th shift 2, so this was 4th shift 1, this is 4th shift 2. Okay. So 4th shift 2 is again a very tough paper. Very lengthy problems. So fourth shift 2, 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 6, 5, 7 minutes, 4, 3, 3, 5, 6. It is again slightly tough than shift 2. So 2nd April shift 1 and 4th April shift 1 are on the same page. Okay, then easiest among till now is 3rd shift 1, and 3rd shift 2 and 4th shift 2 are the toughest maths shifts, because 4th shift 2 again contains a very lengthy problems, like it will around take 4 minutes to 5 minutes to 6 to 7 minutes to solve a problem. That means it contains more lengthy problems. That means, and 4th shift 2, 3rd shift 2 chemistry is also tough. If you will look at the chemistry part, so chemistry is tough. So the time taken by this, the time students was very less to solve maths part because of the chemistry trickiest part. So the chemistry was tricky, so time was very less to solve maths lengthier questions. So that's why the cutoff of these shifts will definitely go down. Okay, now let's move to the 7th shifts. So if I talk about 7th shift, I think it's on same page as 2nd shift and 4th shift 1, same 3 minutes, 4 minutes. You can see that one is 5 minutes, one is 5 minutes. Okay, these two are also 5 minutes, slightly better, like 2nd shift, you can say that. So 2nd shift is almost similar to the 7th shift. Okay, and if I talk about the last shift, which is 8th, because there was only one shift in 8th April. So 3 minutes, 4, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1.5. So I mean, the paper is quite easy in this. So it's like same as 3rd shift 1. So 8th shift 2 was slightly on the moderate side, easy side, like same as 3rd shift 1. Okay. So the 4th April, so the shifts 3rd April shift 2 and 4th April shift 2, 7th shift 1, these are all little bit on the tougher side. 3rd shift 1, 8th shift 2 are on the easier side, and the remaining, the 2nd shift and the 4th shift 1, these are all on the mediocre side. Okay, so this is the overview of maths in all the shift beta, and I have compared between January and April as well. So I hope you got the idea about the JEE Main 2025 detailed analysis of maths. So chemistry and physics will follow. So you will have a better idea of the cutoffs and of the toughest shift, because I have told you about maths, and then you will see about chemistry also, physics also. Then we can compare it. Okay, this was the toughest shift according to all the 3 subjects. Okay, so stay tuned. Thank you so much, students. See you soon. Thank you.
Hello everyone. So I have a very beautiful discussion over here regarding the comparative analysis of the JEE Main April shift as well as the January shift over here of 2025. Along with that, we also have the unit wise, the chapter wise, based on its level, what all kind of questions have been asked in the April shift as well. So this is a very important analysis for all the students who are aiming for upcoming JEE Main sessions, because they need to know what are the key chapters, the most important chapters from which major questions have been asked. And we will do a comparative analysis also of January as well as April attempt for you to understand in a much better sense. So let's first dive into that only. What we have over here in the first sheet is the comparison between the shift 1 of January and April. So here you will see is the first shift of the day 1 of January attempt, and for the April attempt, this is the data about the first shift and for the day 1. And what you can see are the questions, number of questions which are asked based on the chapter. So this is the segmentation made, and obviously the main thing which we need to focus over here is in this total. When we have done the total of all the cases, so what you will see is the first chapter, that is units and measurement, it has a 36% weightage when I talk about the January attempt. Okay, but in the April attempt, the weightage has been reduced to 20%. And based on that, what you will see, more or less, not much differentiation is there, but yes, another differentiation arises in this 28%, which is over your laws of motion chapter, not the laws of motion. Actually, it is work, power and energy, which had 28% in January attempt, but only a minimal 4% in your April attempt over here. And from this, what you can just analyze over here is the data about the key points. So I would just like to highlight some pointers over here. See, 56%, what actually this is atoms and nuclei. Okay, no, sorry, this is ray optics and optical instruments. So in January attempt, you had a very high weightage of questions being asked from ray optics and optical instrument. And if I talk about the April attempt over here, then this has reduced to 36%, but still it has quite a good number of questions. So there are around 9 questions out of in total 100. And more than that, you can also see this 28%, which goes for waves and oscillation. This is also a high weightage topic. Then 20% goes for thermodynamics, which again is a very important portion. Then this 32% gravitation. So you can just take a note of all the important elements and the chapters over here. Whichever are having more than 20% weightage are obviously asked more from JEE, and we'll do the shift 2 analysis as well. I hope this thing is clear to you. You can just take a screenshot and analyze this data. Moreover, if I talk about the shift 2, so the previous data was about the shift 1, right? So if I talk about the shift 2 data, again, if you will notice in shift 2, in January and April, both units and dimension had 24%. So units and dimension is a but obvious fact. It's a very simple chapter, and yes, every year there are going to be questions from that. If you will see individual sessions as well, in some sessions you also have three questions where I saw this. There is also 3 questions, right? In January shift 1, you had, no, sorry, that's from work power energy. Over here, maximum in total 2 questions are asked. So 2 questions from units and measurement, one can be simply from dimension or error, and 1 question can be from your physical, this measurement, screw gauge and vernier caliper and all, right? And if I look at the weightage, so laws of motion weightage has increased. It is important. Then work power energy has reduced, same trend. Then motion in a plane and a motion in a straight line has also increased from 12 to 28%. Then if I move ahead, gravitation is a very high weightage chapter, 24%. System of particle and rotational motion again is a very important chapter. Solids is also important, because in some papers you will see from mechanical properties of solids there has been a consistency, and in April 8th they are having 2 questions out of it. So this gives a stance that yes, it's a simple chapter, and it's a high scoring chapter as well. Mechanical properties of fluids is also having a high weightage. Then thermal properties of matter, weightage has reduced in the April attempt. Kinetic theory, not that much asked, it's a small chapter as well. And thermodynamics has an equal weightage. Then talking about waves and oscillation, it is also a high weightage topic. Here also, if you will see, 40% will signify ray optics and optical instruments. So ray optics obviously has been an important topic, and majority of the questions have been asked from lenses and all the concepts which are there in it. Modern physics in total is also having a very high weightage. If you will see modern physics, it starts from this 21 line, right? So from this 12%, 36, leave 48, 20 and 20. So all the topics of modern physics are also extremely important, and many questions have been asked from it, right? So this is actually the comparative analysis of shift 1 in the previous table, and this is for shift 2 of January and April. Now what I am going to do is I am going to take you and give you an idea about the individual sessions and especially the physics portion. In the April attempt, in each and every shift, what I've done over here is actually segmented the problems based on their level, and the concept which I've used over here is basically, so there are going to be the division first based on the type of question. So if the question is a single chapter, single concept question, or it is a single chapter multi-concept question, or it's a multi-chapter multi-concept. Now obviously wherever it is, that's going to be on a tougher end, SM and SS, right? And more than that, there is also levels defined. So this is based on the variety of the question. This is based on the standard. So level 1 stands for a standard question based on standard formula and theory, which is already seen questions with that, right? Standard questions level 2, standard formula but complicated data or lengthy calculation, this is level 2. Now level 3 over here is easy or moderate. So obviously much higher than level 2. Moderate questions in solving, but new language is used which takes more time in understanding. So obviously the language has been changed, has been tweaked for you to take more time. And level 4 obviously is the difficult portion, and it's a completely innovative question, or it's very lengthy question, right? So mostly you will see level 4 questions in maths. because obviously maths in every shift has been on a tougher note. But we are going to discuss about the physics section over here. So let's bring it down to the physics section. So yeah, one more thing. This data is about 2nd April. That's the first day in the April attempt, shift 1. So this is the data about 2nd April, shift 1. Now if I look towards the physics section, so obviously I need to look on a broad basis, how many concepts are there? See, all are SS, single concept, right? Single chapter, single concept. There is a one single chapter, multi-concept. So more or less, physics was on the easier end, right? Then you have one dual nature of radiation concept wherein you had multi-chapter and it's a level 3 problem. So not many, but yes, there are some. Then again you have, no. So that's it in physics. In physics, in shift 1, you don't had many multi-chapter questions involved. Single chapter, multi-concept, those are easier ones. You had one from force also. So they weren't that difficult. Also the standard time is given to you. So more or less, if you will see physics, mostly the average time duration was turning out to be 1.5 to 2 minutes. That's it. So that was enough. If you had 25 questions, you were able to finish it in around 45-50 minutes. That was the normal time taken by any student. Some were also able to complete in 30-45 minutes also. Right. So now this was all about 2nd April shift 2. Right. Now we'll move ahead and talk about shift 1. Just a minute. This was shift 1, right? So we'll move ahead and talk about shift 2 over here. Okay. So this is your 2nd April shift 1 only. This is your shift 1, correct? So in this, if I talk about the physics section again, so what you will see, just look over here towards the physics section. So physics section starts from this. Right. So again, all those SS single chapter, single concept questions only, single chapter, multi-concept, level 4, based on angular velocity. It took 3 minutes, but more or less, it was solvable only. Now we have dual nature. This is for shift 1 again only. Okay. We have solved for shift 1. Just a minute. I think we have missed on shift 2 is upwards. Shift 2 is upwards, right? This is shift 2. Exactly. This is shift 2. So here physics. Yes, here we go with physics. So in physics, EMI, it was having single chapter, multi-concept, and just look for how many MMs you have. SMs also you should take a note, single chapter, multi-concept, dimensional formula, dimensional analysis. This was an easier one. Then if I move ahead, so you won't see many problems. You won't see many problems in physics. So physics, yes, shift 1, shift 2 on the first day, they were more or less papers and the questions were out from your notes only, right? So if you have learned all the concepts, if you have understood your coaching material nicely, you were able to solve those questions. So in physics, you won't see much on the first day, that is 2nd April. Now we'll move ahead and talk about 3rd April data. So this is 3rd April data, physics, shift 1. So here you will see in oscillations, you had this multi-chapter, multi-concept, level 2 problem, wherein you had simple harmonic motion and friction involved over here. Then all are SS only, single chapter concept. Then again, this is chemistry. Right. This was over here, single chapter, multi-concept from system of particle and rotational. Dynamics was there and acceleration of rolling motion was there. And around 1/22, that was a normal time, 2 minutes time you were expected to give in that particular problem. Then if I talk about over here, again, SM level 2, this was from capacitors. Right. Then if I'll go over here, single chapter, multi-concept, level 4 problem was asked from Bernoulli's theorem. Okay. Then you had SML2 and SML3 from adiabatic process thermodynamics, as well as current electricity about resistance over here. Then single chapter, multi-concept, level 2 and level 3 were from thermodynamics. So 2 problems were there and they were nice, right? Then that's all about physics, right? So more or less, again, it's the same weightage, what all questions have been asked in shift 1. Let's move ahead and talk about shift 2 over here, right? So this is 3rd April shift 2, correct? Yes. So if I talk about over here, it was single concept, single chapter, multi-concept, level 2 problem, again from thermodynamics. Then SM level 2 is from collision, correct? Then more or less, these are the same things. Then chemistry turns over here. and some physics is over here. So again, you don't see many multi-chapter, multi-concept questions. Again, those are SMs only. So questions were restricted from a single chapter, but yes, multiple concepts from that chapter only were involved. As you will see in alternating current, work, power, energy, obviously there can be multiple concepts created out from that. Then you had motion in a straight line, single chapter, multi-concept questions, and all the less capacitor waves, magnetism were also okay. So 3rd April, shift 1 and shift 2 were also on the average end what has been on 2nd of April. So physics, there was no surprise as such. Okay. Now let's move ahead and talk about 4th shift 1. Correct. So if I talk about 4th shift 1, now again the same trend follows. Single chapter, single concept problems you will see throughout, right? Level 1, level 2. So that they are not that difficult. Obviously, you can see the average time also. It's a 1 minute time given, and people were able to solve those questions easily. Again, the same thing, single chapter, single concept questions only. Level 1 se leke level 2 tak you have all the problems over here. So this was an easier shift if I compare it with the earlier ones. This was 4th April shift 1. If I talk about 4th April shift 2, then again you will see the same pattern being followed as in shift 1 and shift 2. You have the same single chapter, single concept, level 1, level 2 only. Right from here till here you will see. And if I move ahead for the other problems, yes, so you had one multi-chapter, multi-concept problem of level 2 that was from work, power, energy, and obviously it involved calculus and all those heavy things also. It was a simple problem about calculation of work done, but yes, it had some concepts from other chapter as well. Then you have one problem of single chapter multi-concept level 1 from thermodynamics. So thermodynamics questions, as we saw in the earlier cases as well, they were on a higher note, right? Then you had this calorimeter and thermal expansion, 2 concepts mixed from a single chapter only. Linear expansion, specific heat capacity. It was a multi-chapter, multi-concept problem of level 3 which required 3 minutes. So not many, but yes, there were some. Okay. So there were 2 and there were some SMs as well. Single chapter, multi-concept about capacitor, thermodynamics, right? And that's it. Right. So more or less paper was on moderate, easier to moderate range only. Let's move ahead for now the next day and the next shift over here, which is your 7th April shift 1, right? So 7th April shift 1, you will see the same trend following, right? There are many SS, there are some SMs, single chapter, multi-concept about magnetism and matter, and these are level 1 problems only. So you will see the time duration, it's only 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes at max, right? And over here also, you will see they are the same thing, single concept, single chapter, and they are taking, the questions were not that hard even. Students were also able to clear them. As I've told you, the time duration they required were 40 minutes at max, right? Then if I talk about the next shift over here, that is 8th of April shift 2. Okay. So 8th of April shift 2, if I talk about the physics concept, so there were some MMs. 1 mm was from de Broglie wavelength, and then from torque and buoyancy, the involvement over here. And then you had those SMs, right? And these were so easy, level 1 problems, right? Directly formula based problems were asked. Okay. So physics was on an easier note on 8th April shift 2 as well. Correct. So here, that's the end. I think we have just gone through an analysis. So just to give you a complete summary about the physics, yes, I have taken the sessions of all the JEE Mains which were there. And looking at the trend, more or less papers were out from your notes. If you have studied your notes, if you have attended the classes throughout the year, you are aware with all the concepts which are there in physics, and you're skipping on topics, there is a high chance you will be very easily able to get marks and get the right answers in around 20 plus questions out of 25. So some questions were a bit tricky, some were having a bit not a conventional language, but more or less paper was on easier to moderate range only. Okay. So I hope you have understood this entire analysis, and I hope it works for you to get a clear picture about the correct weightage of the chapters and what are the levels and the type of questions being asked in the exam. That's all from my end. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone. Today we are going to understand the pattern of chemistry questions in JEE Mains April and JEE Mains January 2025. Okay, so we will see what the high weighted chapters, from which chapter maximum question was asked in both the sessions. So let's see the weightage of some basic concept of chemistry is in January attempt. You can see the variations. Overall, in January session, total 5 question was asked in shift 1. Okay, we are first of all we are comparing with the shift 1 of January session and shift 1 of April. Okay, and but in April total question from the mole concept is 6, so little bit high weightage from the mole concept in April. So from atomic structure you can see in January first shift total number of questions is 7, but surprisingly in April session the good number of question is only 3, so weightage of atomic structure is somehow reduced. Okay, then classification of periodicity in properties. So in January shift number of question was 3, but in April session number of questions was only 1. So then same structure, same pattern in the chemical bonding. Okay, so almost weightage is equal because in the both first shift, okay, in January overall shift and in April first shift is almost they have same question. So in thermodynamics high weightage chapter means the most important chapter of physical chemistry. So you can see in January attempt it was total number of question was in the first shift was 8, but in April this was 6. So thermodynamics type of chapter, the most important chapter of physical chemistry, weightage in April is quite lesser than January. Okay, then if we go for equilibrium, that combine of both chemical and ionic, so both have almost equal effect. Okay, 7 questions. And redox reaction, surprisingly in January we have almost 2 questions, but in April there was no question. So it's an important chapter, but in April first shift there was no question direct from the redox. Okay, then some basic principle of GOC, the most basic principle of organic chemistry, GOC, the high weighted chapter of January. So total question was 10, okay, but in this April 8. So almost weightage is same, but 2 question is lesser than the January attempt. Then from hydrocarbon, these chapters are high, very important. So in January more 8 question and in April so 5 questions. So weightage is little bit low. Then solution. So January total number of question is 6, but in April morning first shift total number is 5. So electrochemistry again 1 question less than the January shift. Okay, chemical kinetics 7 and April is only for 6. So you can see a lot of chapters like chemical kinetics P block, one question asked lesser than the January attempt. Okay, but almost weightage is equal. So you can see the D and F block, a small chapter but very important for JEE mains. So 7 question total was asked in the January shift and 6 asked in the April shift. Then coordination compound, one of the most important chapter. So 9 total number of question is 9 in January and 8 in almost April. So haloalkanes and haloarenes same. So surprising change, 7 question in a January attempt, but only 1 question in the April session. So surprisingly the very less question was asked in the April. Okay, so and then alcohol, phenol, ether, only 2 question was asked in both the shifts. Okay, aldehyde, ketone and carboxylic acid, both have same weightage, 5 question January and April. Then amines, for amines almost 5 question asked in January and 6 question asked in April total for all of the first shift. Okay, so weightage is little bit higher. So biomolecules, 1 question asked less in the April first shift, so 5 in January, this is 6. Okay, then practical inorganic chemistry, so 3 question in the January shift and 4 question in the April shift. And environmental chemistry, surface chemistry, although these topics are deleted from the JEE mains syllabus, so they don't have any question in the both shift. So this is the analysis of JEE mains 2025 January versus April session 1 versus 2. Okay, shift 1. So now we will compare the shift number 2. Okay, let's see the weightage of chapters. So if we will go for mole concept, little bit weightage is higher from the January shift. 5 in January, 6 in April. Okay, shift 2. Atomic structure, one question lesser than January 7 and 6. Again, periodic table, 3 in January and 2 in April, shift 2. Okay, chemical bonding, again important chapter. 5 question was in January, shift 2, and 3 questions, so weightage is little bit lower. Okay, thermodynamics, all weightage is equal in both the shift, January and April, shift 2. Okay, then equilibrium. 7, so weightage of equilibrium in the January shift 2 is higher than April shift 2. Okay, then redox, again this shift 2 also, they contain in April there was no question from redox, but in January shift 2 there was 2 questions from the redox. Then GOC, so 10 question is from GOC, and this is the most important chapter. Okay, so 15 question is in the April shift 2. So I think the high weightage chapter of April is GOC. Okay, then hydrocarbon, so 8 question in January shift 2 total and 10 question in the April shift 2. So again organic weightage is quite high in this shift. Okay, then solution is also 6, and solution is 6, and the weightage of this in this paper April's shift is quite high, 24% and 40%. So number is 6 and 10. Okay, chemical kinetics almost equal, 7 and 7 question. Okay, P block very important, 7 and 7. Now again equal. Now come to D and F. D and F is a small topic but very important. So total 7 question is in January shift 2 and 4 question in the April shift 2. Now coordination compound, very high weightage in April. So 9 question is in April January shift 2, but 14 question is in April shift 2 total. Okay, now haloalkanes and haloarenes, so again weightage is low in April shift 2, 7 in January shift 2 and 3 in April shift 2. So aldehyde, ketone and carboxylic acid, so they have equal weightage, 5 and 5 number of questions. Then amines, in amines also you can see both have equal weightage, 6 in January shift 2, 6 in April shift 2. Then practical inorganic chemistry, 3 question in January but only 1 question in April shift 2. And again there was no question from the deleted topic, environmental chemistry and surface chemistry. So this was the quite variation of the chapters. You can see the which chapter is the have highest percentage of question in the April attempt and January attempt. So in this segment you can see little bit quite higher percentage from the organic chemistry. Okay, so now we will see the most important section was which type of, this time many people are saying chemistry questions are quite good from the in comparison to the January attempt. Yes, this time a lot of question was asked which was multi concept based. So concept from different chapters was also taken in the account. Okay, so that's why so cutoff in chemistry is very good in this time. So let's see the segregation of questions. So if we will analyze JEE Mains 2025 session 2 April shift 1, so there is some category. Okay, this is very important for you. Okay, so let's suppose one single chapter questions from single chapter that utilize single concepts, code is SS, that is easy category. Question from single chapter and utilizing single concept, so code is SS. But question is from single chapter but they utilize multi-concept, little bit trickier. Okay, so that code is SM. Now one question utilized many concept of different chapters. Okay, and so multi-concept chapters, so this is called MM. So of course if MM questions are more in a shift, so you can say the paper is more towards a tougher zone. And in also these things we have categorized many another aspect. So level 1 means what? Just like a standard question, so directly from the theory, directly the basic things. Okay, so already seen this type of question without a major change. So this is the level 1. If level SS level 1 question more in one paper, it means that in that paper you will score more. Okay, so what is level 2? Question is again standard, but so little bit question is on the standard formula, but complicated data and some little bit lengthy calculation was involved. So in some integer based question you will find in chemistry a lot of calculation was there, although they seem simple but they involve a lot of calculations. Okay, so what was the level 3? They can be easy, doesn't mean level 3 means always tougher, no. So they can be easy or moderate, but new language was used, okay, and which take more time to understanding. Okay, so data based questions, so these are quite interesting. For some people it become very tough, for some people it become easy, because you have to understand their languages. And what is the level 4? We can say this is difficult because these are the completely innovative question. So this time JEE Mains asked a lot of good questions. Okay, they have taken the concept from directly NCERT, but they reframed that question in a very interesting way. So confusing questions, so we can say lengthy along with new way of framing questions. So giving the data is not a significant way. So it's interesting. So you can see we will only see the chemistry part. Okay, so from 51 number questions we will see. Okay, let's see if you will find. So as per my opinion, this in April attempt questions of chemistry was quite good than January's attempt. I think you will agree. Okay, so let's see, from 51 we will see multi-concept multi-chapter. Okay, but of course level 1, this is multi-concept multi-chapter, but there was no such movements in the questions. You can have already seen those type of questions and directly from the chapters. So this is the level 1, but it required 3 minutes. Okay, you have to understand everything. So again from chemistry MML2, so now you can see in the lower segment you will find the single choice single chapter question. Okay, so these are quite easier zone you can say, but level 2 SM this type of questions are, number of questions are quite high you can say, and you can corresponding you can see the number of minutes required to solve those. Okay, so 3 minutes. Okay, so maximum teacher has taught you to save your time, but this time you can see almost question requires, in some question there is 4 minutes, 3 minutes, somewhere around 1 minute. So that's why chemistry is quite better than the previous shifts. So people who used to plan, I will save time in chemistry and that time I will utilize in math and physics. So this year, so this plan was not worked very well for many students. Okay, so you can see in every, so this is the SS level 1. So SS level 1 was what? You can see the single chapter, single concept, and level 1 means the straightforward from the concepts. Okay, so if you will find SS level 1 means your shift is quite easier you can say in comparison. Okay, so just you can see the shift number 2 on the 2nd April. So I can say both the paper on the first day was very good. Okay, so let's see the chemistry part from the 51. Okay, so in this say we can say SS level 1, but time requirement is 4 minutes. Can you believe this? So sometime that's why this year chemistry will take more time. Okay, so you can say MM multi-concept multi-chapter. Okay, single choice single chapter. So you can see SM single concept multi-chapter. Okay, so single concept multi-chapter, multi-concept multi-chapter. Okay, you can see the toughness of the level, and that's required corresponding lesser time than the previous one, but these concepts are mixed with each other, so this will create a lot of problems for many students. Okay, now you can see in this chapter there is very less question in the form of SS. Okay, single concept single chapter. Is it okay? So you can say this paper is quite good. Okay, quite good. So now we will come to the shift number 1 of the 3rd April. So let's see the level of chemistry. Okay, so this is from the 51 number part. Let's see chemistry. So in this paper was quite easy. Just the straightforward. More question was on it in this paper. So let's see. Single concept, single chapter, single concept, single chapter, multi concept, single chapter, multi concept, multi chapter, but time requirement is almost 1 minute 25 second, 30 second, 40. So that's why in chemistry in this shift was little bit comparatively easier than the previous two one. This is my personal observation. Okay, you can see, although these questions are from single chapter multi concept, multi chapter multi concept, but time requirement to solve that is less. So that's why this chapter in this paper people will score good marks in chemistry. So you can see in the last few questions are single concept, single chapter. Okay, but little bit less time is required to solve this paper than another one. Then this is the 3rd April shift number 2. So again, okay, let's see from 51 marks question. So this requires, so chemical kinetics, single chapter, single concept, okay, level 1, multi concept, multi chapter, level 4, but time requirement is 2 minutes. So you can find single concept, single chapter is quite less, and this is that's why this year chemistry paper is quite good. So when you are preparing for chemistry for the next year, please go for please cover all the syllabus, because a lot of single chapter multi concept, multi chapter multi concept type of question was asked, and this type of strategy to set paper will decrease the cutoff of paper. So you have to perform well. So be prepared for this kind of questions also. Okay, but in last you can see a lot of single concept, single chapter questions, but still you have to require a lot of time to solve that questions. Okay, so that's why many people are saying, sir, this time calculation chemistry paper is quite lengthy. Okay, and potential to commit mistake is very high. Options are very confusing. That's why time requirement to solve the chemistry question is quite high than the previous years. Okay. So same if we will go for 4 April shift number 1. Okay, so for chemistry we will go for, okay, so let's see. In this paper, single chapter, single concept is number question is more. Okay, single chapter multi concept is more, but time requirement is all good, 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, so this paper is quite nice because multi concept of multi chapters is not mixed. Okay, yet now we have not seen any multi chapter question. Okay, so single concept multi chapters. Okay, so let's see. So single concept, multi-chapter, single concept, multi-chapter. Now you can see the level, and that's why time requirement is between 1 to 2 minutes. Okay. Okay. So single chapter, multi-concept. So now in same way, this is the 4th April shift number 2. 4th April shift number 2. So now come to the 15 number question. So this is single chapter, single concept, single chapter, single concept. So single chapter, single concept is quite less, high in this paper. Single chapter, multi concept. Okay, now so single chapter, multi concept. So in this paper, single chapter, single concept question is quite high, but time requirement for few questions are very high. 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes. So lengthy calculations, time to understand the questions is very high. Okay, so that's why paper require too much time to solve. Okay, now we will move for the 7th April shift number 1. So let's see for the chemistry. So single chapter, single concept, single chapter. So more question is from single chapter. Okay, multi concepts are there, but chapters are there. This is the multi chapter, multi concept. So in this paper you can say this is okay. मतलब good paper because time requirement is very high, 4 minute, 1 minute. So not even a single question right now. You can see you can solve in 30 second or 40 second. That's why time management to solve chemistry paper in this year is little bit high. Okay. So almost questions is from single chapter, single choice. Okay. Single concept, single chapter, single concept, single chapter, single concept. So in this type of questions, it might be possible time calculation, time required to solve question is quite high, but it become easy for people to solve those questions. Okay. Now we will come back to the 8th shift 2. So again we will see for the chemistry paper. So this is the 51 number question is from single chapter, single concept, and that required only 30 seconds. Okay. So again, single chapter, single concept, single chapter, single concept. Of course, there is level 3. It means very new type of language. Okay. Multi-chapter, multi-concept. Okay. Single chapter, multi-concept. So maximum question is from single chapter, but somehow multi-concept and single concept also. But few question is from multi-chapter, multi-concept, multi-chapter, multi-concept, and level 2 also. So level 3, level 4 questions are little bit lesser in this, but time requirement is very high. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, okay, 1 to 2 minutes. Only few questions required 30 seconds to solve questions. That's why in total, I can say, in overall, we can say this year chemistry require more time to complete the paper, and that's will totally reflected in the time management of physics and math for many students. Okay, so I hope you will prepare according to these analysis and you will score good in the next in your coming examination. So please go through this analysis and prepare yourself to do excel in your exam. Bye.